Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. I see everyone is sort of showing up now that I've showed up. Sorry about that. I was running around talking to a diag and dealing with stuff here. Welcome, everybody. I am here. You are here. We are here. It's all so very exciting. Oh, you're all showing up. Yay, I love this. It makes a little ding ding song every time you guys all get here. I'll give you just a moment to get your stuffs together and find your Braille and Braillers if you're going to use one, or get your Perky Duck open, whatever you're going for. Find your book. I will get myself a drink of coffee and we'll get started here in just a few minutes. I'll give you a second to get yourselves in, and give me a second to get myself in, and I'll meet you back here in just a moment. Hello, everybody. Hello. It's 4:01. I'm just checking out here how many of you are here. 17, so fewer. I acknowledge that part of that may have been because it took me a moment to join here. If there's anyone there who feels like they could, would you just let me know if you can, hear me okay and see me okay and all of those things? Just someone acknowledge my existence so I don't have to talk into this void.
I can hear and see you.
Yay! Woohoo!
I can hear and see you also.
Yay!
Yeah, I got you.
Thank goodness. I was getting very solipsistic in here, just talking to myself in front of what the computer tells me is a room of people who care what I say. So, dots. We're gonna write stuff with them. I'm so glad you all came back. I was wondering how many of you would. I know you signed up for it, but dots are a lot. Braille is hard. And I realize I'm like teaching this class and stuff, but I also definitely had to get my book off the shelf earlier today to look up how to write a slash. So, dots are hard, and we're all in this journey together. And I am glad that you are all here. Before we move to this sort of chapter 1, chapter 2 sort of stuff, is there anyone who'd like to share just how it's going? Is that are there questions? Is this taking up way more of your life than you thought it would be? Are you just really, struggling with anything, or are you crushing it and you wish everything was in Braille all of the time? Like, how's it going? Is it treating those of you, especially people who are sort of newer to this whole Braille concept?
Why is it doing this again?
Just watch Martha's.
I don't know. I keep putting it installed. Okay, that should be it.
Hi, Shane. This is Janice. Can you hear me?
Indeed, I can.
Oh, perfect. You know, I think it's going well, but I'm honestly scared for the later chapters. I feel like the alphabet was pretty simple, but I'm petrified of, I don't know, chapter 9, chapter 10.
Yeah, that's fair. That is super duper, that is very real. The nice thing about this Ashcroft book is that it really does give you manageable or, you know, mostly manageable chunks of stuff. Like, I feel like they don't try to give you too many different kinds of changes. So you get the alphabet, that's all at once. Then you add, you know, some basic alphabet things and some punctuation. So there's a lot of front loading. And then as you get into the later chapters, it sort of adds one kind of contraction, what we call contractions, where a single cell, a single character in Braille stands for more than one thing, or a group of characters stands for more characters than that. They're really good about adding one kind of contraction at a time. So you'll get a lot of practice with all of the different ones, but like by the end of it, like there's, I want to do the math or look it up. No, I know there's a number somewhere, but there's like hundreds of different things, and some of them go before other ones. So yeah, it's hard. I think it is well paced, or not paced, but it is well divided, I feel like, the book anyway. So I feel like it does hopefully give you the opportunity to practice sort of one thing at a time so that you can add it into your brain one thing at a time. But, you know, like even if you look at, if you looked in chapter 2, it has you sort of practicing a few of these word signs at a time, a few of these. So like they try as hard as they can not to throw 400 new concepts at you at the exact same time and let you build on what you know one thing at a time. And the thing that's the most astonishing to me is that like there are certain words or certain kinds of words that they manage to spend 8 chapters not using in any sentences because you don't know how to Braille them yet. So they're surprisingly good about like not setting you up to Braille things wrong that you will then learn that you could have been Brailing a different way, which is really cool and is one of the most impressive things to me, is that they are able to spend 9 chapters not writing any words that end in T-I-O-N or something like that. That's a rough approximation, but there's whole classes of stuff like that that like they don't give you words that end in ing until they teach you the contraction for ing. But yeah, moral of the story, it's tons. It's tons. Is this, how much of your lives is this taking up?
So I'm doing this as a, because I want to get certified. I'm actually working as a Brailleist in training with my student. So I'm pretty much at school when I'm not working with him, working on this, on learning Braille. So it's like crash course.
So are you having like dreams about dots?
I see dots
Yeah.
before my eyes all the time. When I read something, I'm thinking of how I would Braille it. Yeah.
That's a good way to practice though. Like if you are looking at a menu or you are, you know, your places and you're like, you know, how would you contract that? Like the course in my TVI program that dealt with Braille, they sort of just encouraged people to take random opportunities when you look at a sign or you see closed captioning on a TV, like just sort of challenge yourself randomly to Braille it in your head. And
I'm definitely doing that.
yeah. It helps if you also are doing it 9 hours a day, 5 days a week.
It really has helped.
Does anyone else have any just sort of progress they want to share before we dive into talking a little bit about alphabetic word signs? All right, so alphabetic word sign. So word sign is one of these dumb words that every time I write it in an email to you guys, my Outlook is like, you spelled word sign wrong, because it's nothing, but it is something. It's Braille. Word sign is one of these words for a type of contraction. So like I said, we have our 26 letters of the alphabet. All of those are Braille characters. We have the ability to put a space where there's nothing. That's a Braille character technically with no dots. We also, it takes up so much room to write things in uncontracted Braille, or in this grade 1 Braille where it's all just letters. And we haven't even gotten added punctuation, although you get a few of those here at the end of this second chapter. But it takes up so much room that one of the things that they've done in creating Braille and in creating UEB is given us all of these ways to make it smaller. It takes 2 bookshelves to house, like literally 2 bookshelves to house a fully embossed copy of the King James version of the Bible. It takes, I think maybe almost twice as much of that room to house a fully embossed copy of Harry Potter, and that's with the contractions. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I feel like the last Harry Potter book, which is not a short book, but I feel like in Braille it might have had 30-something volumes. It's big. Braille takes up a ton of room, and like the paper sort of sticks out because it's bumpy. It's big. So one of the things we do is we have these contractions. We have these abilities to make it a little bit shorter. The first contractions we look at in this Ashcroft book are we look at what we call alphabetic word signs. So a word sign is just a sign that stands for a word. Word sign. Sign stands for word. Word sign. Very nifty. Alphabetic means letters of the alphabet. It's almost like these names make sense, which right now they do. Ask me again in January when we're talking about, you know, final letter group signs and stuff like that. But alphabetic word signs. There are, does anyone happen to know, or can you guess, or can you count how many of the 26 letters of the alphabet have a separate meaning when you Braille them all by themselves?
23.
Hot dog, that is correct. There are 23 of them. Does anyone, for the bonus point, know which 3 don't have word sign meanings? I heard someone say I heard you whisper it. You're correct. Be proud.
A.
A.
Where'd he go?
There's one more.
Oh.
O. A, I, and O. Everything else is a word. But, can, do, every, from, go, have, just. Knowledge, which is a weird one to need a word, like, whatever. This one thing you'll find as you learn about Braille is that it is normed or developed against the text of the Bible. So they have worked to contract words that appear frequently in the Bible. So it is sort of at one point was optimized for sort of optimizing the space required to Braille a Bible. So like a word like knowledge shows up a ton in the Bible. It doesn't show up a ton in 3rd, 4th, 7th, 9th grade reading material, but we have a word sign for it. Like, more, not, no O, so P. Who knows what P is?
People.
People, quite, rather, so, that, us, UV, V, very, will, it, you, and as. All but 2 of them start with the letter that they start with. Those are it and as. It is the letter X, and as is the letter Z, because it sounds like as, I guess. I don't. Part of learning Braille is just knowing the tricks. I don't know. As sounds like Z, sounds like Z, so Z for as. So just sort of informal poll. How have you guys been doing on just the exercise level, just sort of going through some of these sentences? I want to make sure this is a useful time for you. I can sort of talk through the material and kind of lecture on it a little bit. I can just sort of give you extra practice things, or we can Braille some things together. I can give you sort of like exercise type stuff. I have books with more exercises and more sentences in them that I can sort of ask you, like, let's practice Brailling all of this together and we can check our work. I can Braille some stuff in front of you. I can answer questions. I can just sort of explain stuff that you've hopefully already read about. What could I do to make some of this time the most useful for you guys?
I like trying to practice reading it. I'm getting the hand part with getting the right letters, but I'm still struggling with reading it just when I don't already know what it's going to say.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Did any of you guys, we can do some of that here too. Did any of you guys get the companion reader that comes with the book? It's just an embossed set of stuff for you to actually practice reading if you need more practice in that way.
Yes.
Cool. So that is a cool place to practice that. It is tactilely embossed Braille. I'll do some of that with you guys too. I'll show it over the screen and I'll try and verbalize it dots wise, because I know not everyone can access the way I share the screen. But I'll definitely, that's a great idea. So we'll do some reading. Does anyone need me to sort of explain these things, or would you like me to just sort of guide a little bit as we practice? I have a couple of these topics I'd like to hit, but as a rule, does anyone need me to sort of re-lecture any of this kind of stuff, go over it?
I don't.
One of the things I would definitely want to re-lecture or just retouch upon or just explain over, go over real quick is we talk on page 17 about indentation. So a common thing you're going to hear when we're talking about paragraph style indentation, well, first of all, is paragraph style indentation. We're going to refer to that a number of different ways. We're going to call it 3-1 indentation. So 3-1 refers to the cell number 1 to 40 across a normal Braille paper that you will start in. Pro tip, by the way, if you would like an easy way to count over where your cells are and make sure you're lined up, one cool thing you can do is Braille just a line of full cells. So press all the dots every time, 40 across. Take it out of your Brailler, cut it out, and tape it right on the metal part, right in front of where the carriage goes. You can even number them if you have a pencil or you're bored. And you'll actually, if you set it up so that it lines up with where they would come out, then by having that there, you'll be able to sort of just quickly track with your finger or with your vision where the carriage lines up with the cells. So if you're having trouble, especially as we get into like, if you have to center a title or something, which is a thing you do by hand on a Brailler like an animal, if you have to do something like that, it can be a lot easier to do it if you give yourself a reference row of 40 cells and you can visually place yourself on that if that is how you do those things. But in any case, 3-1 indentation refers to how we're going to Braille paragraphs and how if you're taking the UEB exam, most of what they ask you to do is 3-1 Brailing in paragraph style. There's also list style, which is the opposite, but 3-1, your first line of every paragraph or everything, your first line of it will start in cell 3. So you will go space, space, which is my sound for making the space, and then you will start Brailing. Maybe a number sign, and then the number 1, and a period, and then the sentence you were asked to Braille. If you run over means go to a second line, you will start that at the margin in cell 1. So the confusing thing about 3-1, it does not tell you how many times to hit space. It tells you what cell your first dots should be in. So just remember, if you get numbers, they are not about what cell they are not about the space bar, they are about where you start, and then you use the space bar to get there. And most of what you're going to do and see in the book is paragraph indentation. I believe there is a specific section of the UEB test that asks you for list formatting. If you hear list formatting, that's the 1-3. There's fancier versions of that for like nested lists and stuff. It's day 2. I'm not going to do that to you. What I am going to do is see if I can find the button that lets me share my Perky Duck with you. Perky Duck. Victory! Make sure there's nothing in here. I'm going to open my screen, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to Braille this in paragraph format, which means I need to go to cell 3. And I'm going to start by offering you guys a little bit of a mantra, if you will. I took that last bit away. I'm going to offer you a mantra here as we keep doing this. Take a look at that and see if you can identify what I have Braille.
You can do it.
You can do it. Notice that each of those words only takes one cell to write. There's something in front of the Y. What's the thing I've put in front of the Y?
Capital.
Capital. Is it a capital letter, capital word, capital paragraph? How much of that is capitalized?
One letter.
One letter. Not the whole contraction, even though the contraction is only one letter long. So it's not Y-O-U can do it. I'm saying that like it's a question, but it's a fact. It's not Y-O-U can do it. It's Y-O-U can do it. Single capital in front of a contraction impacts the first of the words that it wants. Excuse me, I said that very sillily. Impacts the first letter of the contraction, not all of the letters of the contraction. Can someone, maybe a shy volunteer, please tell me what I need to do to turn it into Y-O-U can do it?
Two 2.6s in a row.
I don't know what I did. I fixed it though. So 2.6s in a row is you can do it. And it is, you're correct. 2.6, we call that a capital word sign or capital word indicator. What if I want the whole dang thing capitalized? Well, that's a hard question. Let me start by doing this. I'm gonna make the whole dang thing capitals.
3.6s.
Yeah, why can't I do what I just did though? I put 2.6s in front of each of the Y, C, D, and X.
Because it's improper?
It is improper. Do you know why?
Takes up
Takes up too much room.
It does take up too much room. Do you know how to decide when it takes up too much room?
It's only 2 letters, is that why?
Not quite.
It's
3 or more words, Shannon just typed into the chat.
Oh, yeah.
So we use passages when we are doing it for 3 or more words. Consisting of any letter, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, I'm looking for the page. Trying to read Braille and type Braille and talk about Braille. There's a lot of dots in my life. The capital passage indicator is used to show that a passage or the passage following it is written all in capital letters. Thank you. That's called a passage. A passage is defined as a group of 3 or more symbol sequences with a hyphen. It's another one of those dumb Braille words. So symbol sequences means words, hyphenated words. So anything with a space on either side of it is a symbol sequence. Anything with a space on either side of it is a symbol sequence. And when we have more than 3 of them, 3 or more, excuse me, 3 or more symbol sequences. When we have 3 or more of them, we can't use words or we can't use capital word indicators. So I'm gonna take those away. And someone already said this. We're going to put 3.6s and something else. Yes, I do need to terminate it. Thank you, Catherine. I need to terminate it. So I terminate it with a .6 with a .3 after it. After yes. Thank you. Immediately following the last capitalized symbol or symbol sequence. E.g. ending punctuation in The capital terminator is formed by dot 6, then dot 3, blah, blah, blah. And I can put it after the period there. Just it's a readability thing. If I wanted to stop in the middle of a word for some reason, because we can terminate capitals. I've gone into capitals tangent. We can terminate capitals in the middle of a word. I don't know why you might do this, but say, let me see if I can find a good one. There may not be a good example in here.
FedEx is
Yes.
F-E-D, and yeah.
F-E-D and then lowercase ex.
It's
Is that how you style it?
capital F, lowercase ed, and then capital E, and then lowercase x.
Oh, gotcha. So that one we would just use a letter and a letter. So we will use a letter in front of F and a letter in front of E.
Okay.
If I used the capital word, it would have gotten F-E-D. So yeah, for those you can put a cap anytime it shows up in the middle of something. Ignore the fact that that could have a contraction in it. So I've written iPhone, which if you style it lowercase I, capital P, H-O-N-E, looks like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me just a second. I'm going to grab a separate book off of my shelf. I'll be right back. If you've had the kind of day where you've forgotten like how to count, for example, from 1 to 6, then you've had the kind of day I have had. And I'm very sorry. Skipping through the book. I have this teacher's guide in front of me that talks about all of the stuff. Lesson. One moment, my apologies. I could have been more organized today, but I wasn't. And we're all gonna be okay with that. Well, I don't know if you're gonna be okay with that, but I'm gonna be okay with that. While I'm flipping through, take a gander at the thing I've just brailled for you and see if you can read it.
You have knowledge of that.
A little thing at the end. Tell me about the question mark I've used here on this question, which says, do you have knowledge of that? And there is a contraction for of. We'll get to it soon. So if that's freaking you out to look at, then you're not alone. Talk to me about that little guy in the bottom of that cell at the very, very end. It is right. It's a question mark. Someone tell me the dots for the, someone tell me the dots for that.
2, 3, 6.
2, 3, and 6. Good job naming the dots. Dot numbering is hard. 2, 3, and 6. Question mark. I almost used a contraction that you don't have yet. That's why I'm so impressed that the book doesn't do that, because I constantly am trying to braille contractions I haven't shown you yet. I've now changed it to, you do have knowledge of that, and I've put an exclamation point at the end.
Hey, Shane.
Yes.
What page are you on in the book?
I just made that up. But I do believe, I'm actually not 100% sure whether you get to anything other than periods in chapter 2. If you don't, you get to them in chapter 3. So there's a early cheat sheet. If I ever do a thing that is like not a thing you've learned how to use. Yep, I haven't. I did. My apologies. It's in chapter 3. You'll get those. Actually, will you? Maybe. You'll get to exclamation point and question mark at some point eventually. My apologies. I used something you don't know. That's what I get for trying to do 2 things at the same time. Yes, page 18 is all the capitalization stuff. You will get to look at more punctuation stuff in chapter 4. And I think you can mess with some of those exclamation points. So that's a cheat. Now it's a period. Now it says, you do have knowledge of that. So I'm going to give you something. To read. Oh. You look at that fine there sentence I've created for you and see if you can tell what on earth I have wrought.
So very soon.
You'll notice the word not in that sentence has a capital word indicator. It's N-O-T. See if I can get to this chat window. I might have to take, yeah, I'll just take that away for a minute. Great. It lets me go to the chat a lot easier if I take the screen share away. So I did, just so I can see what you guys are saying. Good job reading, good job typing. Looks like we had a lot of success with that. So I'm gonna give you one to Braille. You can Braille it on your computer, your iPad, or your Brailler. I am gonna ask you to Braille. I will say it and then I will type it. How about that? That breeze is quite cool, but I like it. So we're gonna write that breeze is quite cool, but I like it.
Oh. I gotta change my margin.
Oh, I was muted the whole time I was talking to you. Yes, please, with a comma. Who knows how to Braille a comma?
.2.
.2, that's correct. I was like over here asking and no one was answering. And I was like, I know that one was in here, and it's because I was talking to no one because I had it muted. Anyone need more time to Braille that fun sentence, or should we take a look at it? We start, let's look. So we start with the word that. Actually, we start with 3-1 margins, and then we start with the word that. That is, someone tell me. T. Breeze. Do I get to shorten anything in the word breeze?
No.
Correct. Is. What's the short form for is? Or what's the word sign for is?
IS.
Yeah, trick question. There is none. Quite. Cool. No short in, nothing short in cool. I'm gonna make a mistake at some point in here, and you're gonna tell me when I do. This is almost a correct transcription.
2 spaces after comma.
This transcription is so close to correct. The comma is wrong. What's wrong with it?
Comma. It's a 5 instead of a 2.
Yeah, it needs to be. If you think that that is a pedantic and mean thing to ask you to notice, there's a whole section on the UEB exam that is called proofreading, and pretty much it's all noticing reversals and stuff like that. It's a lot of reversals. It's a lot of forgetting contractions. Lucky for you, it is a big problem. Lucky for you, it really is going to, it'll show you, I think I have the sim braille turned on. I do. It'll show you in the sim braille. So you'll get those little shadow dots for the spaces that there could be dots and aren't. And really when you're doing that, you have to think about all of the things. You have to look at everywhere you could have done a thing, make sure that you actually did the thing. There's stuff with like doubles, like 2 spaces where you need 1. There's stuff with, you know, reversals, reversed contractions. It is, because like your student may be fooled, or like it may work on your student, or they may be like, what on earth am I reading? I don't know what that means. I have another reading example up here for you. Yes. Skill is just as important as knowledge. I have a nice long one here. Do you want to? Oh. Oh. I have a long one here. Do you guys want to braille it, or do you want to read it? I hear people winding up. You guys want to braille it? Let's braille it. To the chat thing, to the chat thing, to the place where I can type. I'll give you another good one to read. I have 2 long ones. Jeff will very quietly do all that he can so that you will have extra help on every job. Jeff will very quietly do all that he can so that you will have extra help on every job. If I make you braille one, I'm also going to try and drop it in the chat. So it just takes me a hot minute to put it there. Sorry. I have to type these things out of a book. The braille view is gone. Yes, we are brailing the thing I just said. My braille view is gone. We are going to make that sentence in dots. And then I will give you another thing to read. So I put the sentence in the chat window. Theoretically, Jeff will very quietly do all that he can so that you will have extra help on every job. I am typing the next one in Braille so that you don't have to watch me do it. So that is not on the screen on purpose.
everybody make sure that they're muted so that we can see the screen? Because right now it just shows a number on my screen of whoever's using.
That's the worst. I can mute everyone. Watch.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Do we need a minute? I am not muted anymore? Question mark? Do you guys need a minute more to braille that big long sentence, or shall we move on? Nope. Just a second. I will give you just a second. All right. Who, I know this is a hard thing to do, but who will please talk me through how to transcribe that big long sentence? Help. What do I write? You can yell dot numbers at me. You can yell letters at me.
Capital JEFF
Yes.
space
Okay.
W space D space ALL space HE space C space S.
We need
Yes.
quietly first.
Jeff will vary. I've got Jeff will vary quietly. Someone tell me how to type that.
Quietly. Okay.
How do I quietly?
Spell it out. Q-U-I-E-T-L-Y.
Yeah, it's not quietly, which you also couldn't use a Q for, by the way, but that's okay. Do all.
D space. Yeah. Then spell out all.
Thank you.
T space. Spell out he. C space. S space. T space. Y space. W space. H space. Spell out extra. And then spell out help. Space help. Space on. Space E. Space job. Period.
Braille's nuts. Is that what you guys got? If it's not, tell me so I can fix it, because I could have messed up. Should have put one of these at the bottom of it just to trick you. Oh, this one's the worst. Check out the period.
Too high.
Correct. You also don't want it to be backwards.
Exclamation point.
Hey, Shane.
Yes.
So I had a question. I was just joining the class, so I don't know if you already said this, but if we are typing the word like everything, can we?
Great question.
Okay.
That was actually, you reminded me because I was making the thing about quietly. You cannot do this.
Okay.
So these are called word signs. So they have to stand by themselves. So you can capitalize them, you can put punctuation with them, but and like you can hyphenate them, but they have to be what we call standing alone. So in the word everything, here's something you can do. I can hyphenate every man for himself, and I can write every. But if I want to write the word, one word, everyman, EVERYMAN, I don't get to use every. I do get to use the short version of the word ever, which there is a separate one for. So technically I'm allowed to abbreviate everything like this, but that's not what you asked me. You cannot use these short forms in places that they are touching other letters. They have to be standing alone. So you can write this. I've written C apostrophe, which you don't know, T. So I can write can't with the can contraction, but I cannot write, the word is cannot, not cannot. Very good question. So all of these word signs that we've learned in chapter 2 have to stand alone. Group signs are symbols that stand for letters, are contractions that stand for groups of letters that do not have to stand alone. A word sign has to be a word. Very good question. Thank you for asking it.
So Shane, can't, you can use the word sign because there's an apostrophe, not a letter next to it? Or did I misunderstand that? It is 4 o'clock plus.
Something like that. You can write can't, C apostrophe T. I want to double check that I am telling you why for the correct reason. I am 100% certain, but I am not 100% certain whether it's its own rule or whether it is because of the apostrophe. I will have to check on that. That is a good question.
That sounds like something we'll get to later.
It is.
And we don't need to worry about it right this second?
That is correct. The moral of the story is that I'm trying to see if they have a good word, like, I was trying to see if there's like a good example of a word somewhere that uses that has, I'm trying to think of a good word that would be confusing why you couldn't do that. Oh, the word peoples, like peoples of different nationality or something. The world and its peoples. You cannot write PS. Peoples. Not peoples. It's touching another letter, you can't do it. That's all you need to know right now. I apologize for making it more confusing than that. Got one more long one to read. And please do let me know, like, please do not hesitate to interrupt me and just be like, shut up, you're confusing me, you're hurting my head, stop being a nerd about Braille and just teach me how to write the word people. Don't teach me stuff I don't know. Like, please tell me. I get really nerdy about Braille because it's fun and also because I know it. And if I am doing that in a way that is hindering you from like, that is making you feel underwater, please don't let me do that to you. I do not want to do that. I will probably do it accidentally. Please take this as your official, like, entitlement. Please consider yourself officially entitled to tell me to shut up and stay on task. I need it desperately. I'm seeing a lot of correct answers. I saw one that said quiet, well made. Make sure that it's quite. Q stands for quite, not quiet. And should it? Who knows? Does it? It does. In 24, page 24 of your book shows you a lot of those rules we were talking about. That's okay, just wanted to make sure. So it talks to you about some of the rules that govern when you're allowed to do those things. So if you do want to get a little nerdy about like when you're allowed to use them and can you use one as a proper name? You can. So like the name Will, like a dude, you can use the W for. Yay, good job. But page 24 has a lot of some rule stuff, as well as section 10 point whatever of the big book. Do you guys have access to the big UEB book?
Not yet.
So the rules of Unified English Braille 2013 edition is published by the BANA. You can buy it embossed, you can buy it in hard copy, or you can download a PDF of it for absolutely free from the internet. You want to have that book. This is a great book that teaches you. That is the book where all the rules live. It also has this huge appendix in the back of a bunch of words abbreviated, or not abbreviated, contracted correctly. And it explains why that's the correct contraction. The rules of Unified English Braille, revised 2013, the BANA book, or I'll call it BANA, the UEB code book. It's the code book, it's the official thing, it's 400 pages long, it's very dense. This book is easier to learn from than that book. That book is always right. And that book is allowed to go with you to your Washington State UEB exam.
Jane, could you type that out for us?
Yes. The book, not the Jim will rather quote from thing, right? Because the people.
The book title.
Yes.
This book is allowed to go with us too, or no?
I believe so. It just says reference materials. I will double check on that though, unless one of my ORC friends is still on the call. But I will double check on that. Let me make myself a note. Can Ashcroft? Oh, no. No. Can Ashcroft go to the test? Tomorrow I'm going to know what that means. I'm confident. So the book I was talking about is the BANA Rules of Unified English Braille, and if you honestly type in rules UEB. There's a link to it in the what you'll need doc I sent at the beginning of the class, but if you Google rules of UEB, it pops up from iceb.org. On mine, it's the #1 result. And you can buy embossed copies of it from APH. You can print your own version of it out if you so choose. You do you, I suppose. We have just a minute or two left. Are there any other questions about what we've looked at that I can help out with? Any final questions, concerns, quandaries?
So these letters all stand alone, but what if you need to Braille something that it needs to just be that letter? For instance, my last name starts with J, and you don't want J to be just, you want it to be J.
So is your last name like J with a period after it, or like
just when you're reading
or
that
like your
sentence.
initials?
Yeah, if you're reading a sentence in Braille, my last name starts with the letter, or starts with J. How do you get that J to be a J and not the word sign contraction?
So if it's standing alone, it's automatically a J. Or sorry, if it's not standing alone, it is automatically a J. If it is standing alone and you want a J, you're going to use what's called a grade 1 indicator, a grade 1 letter indicator, a grade 1 word indicator, a grade 1 passage indicator. Those come up in a chapter or two, and you will see how to use them. But basically, you put a .56 in front of it, and that means this is just a letter. But you will get to those in chapter 4 or something like that, I think.
Oh, okay. So there is something. Thank you.
There is a thing. It's called a grade 1 indicator. You will get one. Is there anything else I can answer? Questions, comments, needs? Next week, we'll talk about chapter 3. It's very exciting. I assume everyone was okay with accessing the recording if you needed it. You guys have my email address if you have any questions. If there's stuff that pops up or you want to nerd out about something or you're not understanding a rule, please feel free to email me. I deal with a lot of children. They take a lot of energy, but when I'm not doing that, I promise I will respond to you as quickly as I can if you want me to check anything. I saw something pop up in the chat. I'm having a very hard time getting my chat to pull up for some reason. But I saw something pop up about I don't have access to a Brailler. You will be fine in this course without a Brailler. It will be hard for you to participate in the test. The test, you pretty much have to Braille. You pretty much have to Braille it on paper. There's really not an alternative. You have to bring in a Perkins Braille writer to the test and submit it.
Is there a place you go to take this test, or?
Oh, sorry, that's my phone. At the very end, very end, I will talk to you guys about it, but basically, you'll order it from the Ogden Resource Center and you'll name a proctor. And they will mail it to them, and your proctor will make sure that you take it in a quiet environment within the right amount of time. There's not a testing center. It'll just be proctored probably by someone who works at your school.
Okay.
I think the rule is that they can't be someone who is also about to take the test. Anyone who's certified or anyone who doesn't interact with Braille can proctor those tests. Yeah. Whew, okay, I'm done talking forever. And thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Happy dot making.